Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is be solving quadratic inequalities. The first thing I need you guys to do before we start doing this is change both these problems because I did make a mistake. This here should have been a -3, so just make that a minus. Okay, not a +3. And this should have been a -5 over here on the question number 2, -5/2 x. All right, so let's start. The first thing you want to do is to solve the quadratic as if it had an equal sign. So just pretend like this is an equal sign, the inequality, and you're going to solve the quadratic. So this is factorable, so I'm going to multiply the first times the last. I get -3x squared. Now I want two numbers that are multiplied to 3, minus to give me a 2. That would be 3x and a 1x, right? They multiply to 3x squared, and they subtract to give me 2x. They get different signs. That's the only way to get a -3. When you multiply, you have negative different signs. So this is going to be -3. This will be +1. Right? And then when I combine like terms here, -3x plus 1x is -2x. And then you're going to bring down the -3 and you're going to bring down the x squared. And then we'll factor by grouping. Group the first two, group the last two. GCF is x times x minus 3. I have a 1 here, put the 1 on the outside. GCF is 1 times x minus 3. So my factors are x minus 3 and x plus 1 equals 0. Because we're just pretending like it's equal to 0 right now. And you're going to finish solving this. Okay, so make a t-chart. We had x is equal to -1 and x is equal to +3. All right, so now what you want to do is you want to make a number line. So make a number line, and you're going to put -1 on the number line and +3 on the number line. Make sure they are in the right position. You don't have, when you make a number line, you don't have to make all the slashes. You just have to put -1 on the left and +3 on the right. Just make sure that your small numbers on the left and your larger numbers on the right. So now notice that my inequality has an equal sign underneath. That means I need solid circles on these two numbers. All right, now you're going to pick points. You're going to pick a point to the left of -1, in between -1 and 3, and then a number to the right of 3. Okay, so the number I'm going to pick to the left of -1 is going to be -2. So right here, put check -2. I need a point in the middle, so you're going to put x is equal to 0 would be the easiest, and x is equal to 4. Now, when you check these points, all right, you're going to plug it into the original equation up here. All right, so I have x squared, so I'm going to plug in -2. -2 squared minus 2 times -2 minus 3. I want to know, is that greater than or equal to 0? So it's a check. You want to see if this is actually true. So you can plug it into your calculator. This is +4 plus 4 minus 3. So that's 8 minus 3 is 5. Is 5 greater than or equal to 0? That is true. So that means we would shade to the left. That means everything to the left of -1 is going to be true. Now you're going to try 0. So plug in 0. We have 0 squared minus 2 times 0 minus 3. Is that greater than or equal to 0? So this is 0 minus 0 minus 3. Is -3 greater than or equal to 0? No, that is not true. So we do not shade in the middle. Now we're going to try 4. So 4 squared minus 4 times, sorry, not 4, minus 2 times 4 minus 3, is that greater than or equal to 0? So again, you can plug it into your calculator. It says 16 minus 8 minus 3 is greater than or equal to 0. 16 minus 8 is 5. 5 minus 3 is, 16 minus 8 is 8. Minus 3 is 5. Is that greater than or equal to 0? Yes, that is true. So that means we shade to the right. That means everything to the right of 3 will be true. So graphing, having this graph, this is called a graphical solution. All right, there's other ways to represent the solutions, and you have to know all 3 ways. That's one way. Another way would be to use set notation. So this would be the other way. So you would write, since it's going out, like I always tell my kids, since it's going out like oars on a boat, so you use the word or. And on the right side over here, we have x is greater than or equal to 3. Or we have x is less than or equal to -1. That's one way. That's another way. So now we have two ways to represent the solution. We have graphically, we have set notation, and now we have interval notation. So the interval notation would be parentheses, because we're going from -infinity to -1. Or, you have to use that word or because it's going out, like oars on a boat. Or we're going from 3, to positive infinity. So those are the three ways, graphically, set notation, and then over here we have the bottom one would be interval notation. So know all three ways. All right, so let's work on number 2. Okay, so number 2. So hopefully you did change that fraction back here to be a negative. All right, so I have these fractions here. I want to actually get rid of the fraction. So I noticed that my denominator is 2, so I'm going to multiply everything by 2. That'll get rid of the denominator. So I have 2 times 1/2. X squared is just going to be x squared. I have 2 times -3x is -6x is less than. And then 2 times -5/2 would be -5. All right, so now I want to solve this. So I have to add 5 to both sides, just like I would before, as if it's in, remember, I'm just pretending like it's an equal sign. So I have x squared minus 6x plus 5, and if you want to put equals, you can put equals right now. All right, so now I'm going to factor. So I'm going to multiply the first times the last. I get positive 5x squared. What numbers multiply to 5, add to 6? That would be 5x and 1x. They get the same signs, right? That's the only way to multiply 5 times 1 to get a positive 5. They're both going to be negative, so that when I combine like terms, I do get -6x. So bring down the 5 and bring down the x squared. And now I'm going to factor by grouping. So the GCF of the first group is x times x minus 5. I have a minus here, so put the minus on the outside. My GCF is 1 times x minus 5. So my factors are going to be x minus 1 times x minus 5, and you can put down equals to 0. Okay, so now I'm going to make my t-chart, and I get x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 5. All right, so now I'm going to draw my number line. Plot 1 and 5. I noticed that it is a less than symbol. There's no equal sign underneath, so I'm going to use open circles. And now I have to figure out which way am I going to shade. So you have to pick test points. All right, so you need to pick a number to the left of 1. So I'm going to pick 0. That's the easiest. Pick a number that's in between 1 and 5. I'm going to pick 4. Actually, I'm going to pick 2 because that'll take care of the fraction. And pick a number to the right of 5. I'm going to pick 6. Now, when you plug this in, you always plug it into the original. So remember, my original was 1/2 x squared. So it's going to be 1/2 times 0 squared minus 3 times 0. Is that less than or equal to 5 over -5/2? All right, so let's check. All right, you could plug this into your calculator. So this all becomes 0 minus 0. 0 minus 0 is less than or equal to -5/2. Is 0 less than or equal to -5/2? No, 0 is actually greater than. So this is not true. Now we're going to try 2. So this is going to be 1/2 times 2 squared minus 3 times 2. Is that less than -5/2? All right, so -2, you can plug it, and of course, I would plug it into your calculator if I was you. So I'll do it in my head here. So I have 2 squared is 4, half of 4 is 2, minus 6, that's negative 4, is less than or equal to negative 5 halves. That is true, because negative 5 halves is 2.5, negative 2.5. So this is true. So that means I would shade in between here. All right, now we're going to try 6. So it's 1/2 times 6 squared minus 3 times 6. Is that less than or equal to negative 5 halves? So 6 squared is 36. Half of 36 would be 18. 3 times 6 is 18. Is less than or equal to negative 5 halves. So 18 minus 18 is 0. Is 0 less than negative 3, negative 5 halves? No, that's not true. That's actually greater than. So that's not true. We don't shade to the right. So I have my shading in the middle. So this is one solution already. Now I just have to take care of the other solution. So I need to move everything up. Okay, so the other solutions would be, so this is the first solution, that's graphically. This is going to be set notation. So we have the shading in the middle here, so you put X in the middle. They are open circles, so you use less than symbols, no equal sign underneath. It's always going to be less than symbols when you have shading in the middle. It's just whether or not you're going to have the equal sign underneath, so you have to take a look at whether or not you have open or closed circles. So as long as you're using the less than symbols, you put the larger number on the right and the smaller number on the left. That says 1 is less than X is less than 5. And then the last one would be using interval notation. So I have 1, comma, 5. All right, so that's it. I'll see you in class on Monday to do a little bit of practice. Have a good night.